Hi everyone. In this video we'll set up the Piral feed service as an Azure app service. For this we already created a new resource group. Everything that will be needed will be placed in this resource group. As first item we add a new web app from the marketplace. When using the search function in the Azure portal, make sure it's the web app from Microsoft and not some third-party service. Now that you have selected the right service for creation, you need to click on Create to get to the form prompting for the initial configuration. You need to fill out the necessary details such as a good name to identify the service later on. The name needs to follow your own naming convention and has to be available within Azure. Importantly, use a container publish method running on the Linux operating system. Choose the region that is closest to your users. The specific plan is not important. The service can already work on the free tier, but we recommend adjusting the plan according to your anticipated usage. For development scenarios, a B-tier plan is certainly sufficient. Once you've entered the basic information, you can go on to configure the container. For this, click on the container header from any tab. In the container configuration, select a Docker Hub or other registry as the image source. The Docker Hub options need to be set to use a private access type. While our registry server URL is publicly known, the username and password to access it are unique to you. Never share that information. The image and tag should be set the Piral feed service latest. Instead of latest, you can also use a specific version. Now click Review and then create the service. Once the service has been created, you can access it to see if it's already up and running. For this, click on the default domain shown in the services overview page of the Azure portal. Initially, the Piral feed service configurator is expected to show up. The reason is that nothing, not even a license key, has been configured yet. With crucial information missing, the service won't start up, but you will get this tool instead to create a valid configuration. What you may like to do is to create a data storage container. In this example installation we use one of the cheapest and best options, an Azure Table and Blob storage service. Again, we go into the Azure Marketplace to add an Azure storage account. Once we verified that this is the service we want to add, we click Create to enter the basic details. Like beforehand, we should pick a good name for the service. Choose the same region as the Piral feed service and use the Azure Blob storage as primary service for the storage account. The remaining settings should be configured according to your budget and usage needs. For the simple demo, a locally redundant storage is sufficient. Finally, review, and when all details are as desired, then click the Create button at the bottom to create the storage account. This may not take a little while. When the storage account is ready, go into the overview to have a closer look at what was created. Initially, all tables should be non-existing and empty. Now access the security and networking options to open the Access Keys blade. Inside the Access Keys blade, we copy the storage account name and one of the two access keys. In this case, we pick key 1. You can copy the key by pressing the Show button followed by the Copy button. Finally, we also need go into the Settings option for accessing the Configuration blade. Inside the Configuration blade, we can set up the storage account to make the blobs available publicly. These blobs will be used later to storage assets of your micro-frontends, such as their JavaScript files. For this, enable the anonymous access to the blobs. Once done, click Save. Now that we have set up the storage account, it's time to finish the configuration of the Piral feed service. Go back to the service overview and open the settings options. In there you can access the environment variables blade. Either enter the environment variables one by one or use the advanced edit mode. In this mode you can directly enter multiple values in a JSON format. In our case we've added the configuration for the public URL, the database, the file system as well as the license key. Once you saved the environment variables, the service usually restarts gracefully. If not, you might need to manually restart it. If everything was configured well, you will see the configured login screen. In our case, no provider was configured, so we just see the local authentication. As last step, let's try to add a new feed in the service to see that everything is working as expected. Congratulations, you've just set up the Piral feed service running as an Azure app service.